Welcome to a tier list video of Vampire Survivors characters. I have 180 hours in the game, so I think I do have an idea how good or bad something is. That doesn't mean I know everything, and that doesn't mean everything is absolutely correct, but I do think I have a proper understanding of what is better and what is worse than something else. So, let's do this tier list and check out if you agree. And there we go. I hope you like this video and that you can agree to what I did. Okay, just joking, obviously. But the point is, okay, this is very important. There are many ways in Vampire Survivors to beat the game. In fact, the hardest challenge is probably to lose, right? Like, I'm not saying run into the enemies and die, but rather, even if you go fully random, it's really hard to lose if you try your best. So, the thing is, are these characters valid or not? Yeah, all valid. You can use all of them, and no matter what the rating will be, that doesn't mean that they are unplayable, okay? I personally rate a character based on how much AFK I can be doing. So, if I can just stand still and I don't have to do anything to win, or just, you know, a little bit, then that's a top rating for me. Because that means I can farm efficiently, I can farm easily, I can watch something and just get the stuff. If I have to constantly play and, you know, grow strong, and it takes quite a while to get there, then that means for me, this character maybe not that amazing. So, let's get going. I will populate the S to F tiers with the heroes, but at the very end I'll check over if I want to change some and see whether I have to adjust based on what ratings I gave, but I'll not force to fill out every single category. If I feel like there's no S, or no F, or no D tier, I'll not do it. Also, Red Death is excluded. He can be unlocked legitimately. In fact, I did a video on that, how to kill the Reaper, without modding anything, just by damage. But the thing is, you know, I think most people will not have him, and he's different, he has an evolved weapon. I wouldn't think that, like, I don't think it's fair to put him in here. So let's start off with Antonio. Whenever you look at characters, first of all, you have to know what they do. So Antonio just gives you 10% damage every 10 levels. Solid. A total of 50%. Solid, but also not fully true. So this is what you have to keep in mind. So you start off with a base 25% might, correct? And then you gain another 50% from spinach, a damage increase. While technically he gives a 50% increase, he increases from 175% to 225%. Which is not an overall damage increase of 50%, but I think it's closer to like 30 or 20%. It's not horrible, but I would say given that, and that he has a whip. That's also, for me, something that you can't get S tier if you start off with a whip. Because the weapon is fine, it's okay, but okay doesn't mean S tier, right? And also not A tier. So I would put him here, simply because the 50% is more fake than you think, and the whip is the whip. Next up, we have Arca. Arca gains 5% cooldown reduction, or reduced cooldown, every 10 levels 3 times, maximum of 15%. Now, interestingly enough, compared to Antonio, exactly the opposite thing happens for Arca, because while Antonio's passive gets worse, because you have higher damage values, higher damage bonuses, his gets buffed by doing that. His 15% actually turn into 37.5%. Because you're already down to 55%, right? So the moment you look at it, this is your 100% attack speed, right? The 55% that you have reduced. So his 15% that go down actually mean you attack 37.5% faster, as if you wouldn't have his ability compared to that. So in my opinion, Arca is either an S tier or an A tier. So, why or, right? If you attack 1/3 faster, more than 1/3 than other heroes, that must mean he's insane. Well, he starts with a fire wand, which takes some time to get going, and his ability takes up until level 30 to fully kick in, which is fine, it's not bad, but, you know, the fire wand is not a top tier weapon to start off with. It takes quite some time to clear enemies, and you need to kill them to get better weapons and get going. Aside from that, Arca definitely deserves top tier. I might change that, but I will keep him in there. Next up, we have Cleric or Clerici. I'm sorry, I suck at these names. So what's the deal with her? Her starting weapon is insanely horrible. Now, don't get me wrong, with the temporary area bonus that she has, it's really good, but you need to pick up a proper weapon in her level ups, because otherwise it sucks. Now, there are really fun strategies. For example, this is what I use to kill the death without any modifications or so. You pick up Rune Tracer level 2, it's a ginormous projectile, you stay level 2 until the Reaper spawns, and then you need to do a precise chain of actions, and then you can kill him. So, yes, sure, it put him S tier for killing the Reaper, but in a real game where you don't idle level 2 and you do nothing for 30 minutes, like how much fun is that, huh? Her only real benefit is you gain plus 0.5%, plus 0.5 HP per second and 30 max health. And you start with Center Water. That's it. So, yeah. I mean, you know, yeah. Dom Mario. Now, Dom Mario is actually interesting. It's a bit hard for me to judge him, but the thing is, he has a nearly permanent uptime on the King Bible level 1. I don't think it was permanent. I think it has still like a slight bit downtime, but it's rotating insanely fast, and once you upgrade it, it's just permanent. They overlap, they deal double the damage because they have 2 projectiles in there. Absolutely insane. Not so nice is his negative 40% movement speed. Movement speed is not that important, but it also means you can't run away from enemies, and when I played him, I had several scenarios where enemies would get past the Bibles and I couldn't outrun them, and they would just keep damaging me, and I would die. Now, does that make him bad? I don't think, I would never say he is bad, and once you get some levels, he becomes very strong, very fast, but it still means without wings, there will be enemies that can kill you and you can't outrun or deal with. For example, the boss at 25 minutes. I think you're somewhat on equal speed, but that means you have to walk through all the enemies to escape in the library, which might not be possible for you. So I would say overall, I would also put him into B tier, simply because he has a lot of potential, but there is also stuff that can backfire, and honestly, any character that has a chance to die is simply not that great. But he also has a lot of potential. Gennaro. Now, I'm just gonna straight up put him to A tier. There's nothing to debate about that. Gennaro just gains an additional projectile from get-go. That means he's instantly strong. There's another hero that also gains projectiles, but via leveling up, so it takes longer to get an effect out of that. But Gennaro pretty much just means, yeah, easy going. Because the difficulty in the game is usually the early game to the mid game, depending on which map you play. But if you have that covered, you should always get strong enough to beat the late game, because the weapons are just so powerful. And even if you don't get the right weapons, all you need is knockback. Knockback wins you the game. You don't need any damage to win. So I think Gennaro does one of the most solid jobs that you just win. For Arca, he doesn't do that early on, right? But his insane benefit is the huge damage increase that you simply can't ignore. Next up we have Melda. Melda also A tier, okay? Hear me out. Melda gains 10% experience boost every 5 levels. That means she's already done with it at level 15. She levels up super fast in general, and her magic wand is actually a solid weapon because you don't have to try to hit enemies, it just does it for you. Now, there were issues with magic wand. I think they are fixed. I'm actually not sure about that, because they kept firing at dead enemies, and they also fire at the head instead of the body, so there is a scenario where you can just miss your missiles, but as long as you run around the enemies, you're set. You'll kill them. She levels up super fast. Magic wand also a solid weapon, right? Because you pick up the empty tome usually always. It's the best item in the game, and it upgrades it to holy wand. Okay, holy wand, not the best weapon, for sure not. I would put it at like a B tier maybe. I think it's good enough to be decent, but also its use is very limited. Like, the only time I really use it is for pushing away, freezing the boss at 25 minutes. He's not frozen, but it's close to it, good enough. But yeah, I would say A tier simply because there is very little room where you would actually fail to beat the game with her. Simply because of all the level ups making sure that you don't die. Oh boy. Croaky, Crotchy, Crossy, whatever. Well. So he has a movement speed bonus, that is nice. Yeah. He has a cross. That is a difficult weapon to use early on. It's really solid clearing wise once you get it up, but that's it. He has an additional revive. Amazing. He gains another one at 33. amazing. But if you're compensating for dying, then maybe you should just pick a hero that wouldn't die. Because then you don't need revivals, right? Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. So, the issue is with him, he has no good bonus. The movement speed is okay, but I would even say the health is better because it might prevent you to die in a sticky situation. But if you die with him, this usually means you'll die again because nothing changed, right? You only get revived. Like, sure, if you slept, if you weren't aware what's going on, the boss at 25 minutes spawned, he killed you, sure, that's a different thing. But do you also know what you have in the game? A free revival. Everyone has that if you have the power up. So that's your alarm clock that tells you, you died here, careful. And he still has 2 revives. Like, what are you gonna do with them? Nothing. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but straight down to F tier behind Cleric, she is better than him. In my personal opinion. Next up, we have Mortaccio. Mortaccio is a very, very interesting hero. Now, on its own, I think he's a bit complicated because it takes quite some time to get going and have all the projectiles. So, for example, Gennaro is just like better for the first 20 levels. But also, the first 20 levels are usually hit at around 6-7 minutes, right? So that's just not like you face tough enemies. His starting weapon is a bone, which can be a nightmare early on, but once you upgrade it, oh boy. That thing is so strong. I always viewed it as a bad weapon, not so good weapon, a weapon I would rather have something else. And then I played it, and I saw the damage numbers, and this thing hits 100 damage. This is an insane value that goes beyond many evolved weapons. So, additional 3 projectiles, is this really necessary? I'm not sure, I'm gonna be honest, in most cases I kill everything on the screen, so 3 additional projectiles does nothing. Faster attack speed does a lot, right, because the enemies respawn, so you kill them again. But 3 additional projectiles, it's a ton of fun, it's very strong. I would say I would put him either in front or behind of Gennaro. The only reason is because Gennaro instantly helps you, right? To get up, to get going. There is little that can go wrong, and then you get into the game where you just win, right? Because you can always win, no matter what you play, no matter what weapons you get offered, no matter what items, given that you have 3 choices, right? So you don't have to go for the worst one. But I think even if you always pick the worst stuff, you can win. Heck, I won a game with Pascalina that got Rune Tracer level 2 on a challenge where I always have to pick the second option offered to me. If I can win that, and it's all random, then you can win easily with Gennaro after Mortaccio would be stronger. And I personally just think Gennaro, easier. Easier to AFK, the knife is solid to clear enemies that get close. The knife can actually freeze lock the boss at 25 minutes in the library, which the Holy Wand couldn't do. So, yeah, that just put them equal. It's a bit hard to say. I think I'll put Mortaccio here, okay? Just that people don't complain. Pascalina. Pascalina is an interesting hero that gains 10% faster projectiles every 5 levels, up to a maximum of 30%. So this puts her on the same level as Mario, because she starts off with 10% already. Rune Tracer is a solid item, don't get me wrong. It's just, like, he also gets duration, right? So we know she, technically speaking, she can't be as good as Mario. Even with the movement speed loss, I don't think she can be as good as him, because he has another bonus. So I would just put her C tier, maybe even D tier. The thing is, I think she's fine, okay? You can obviously win the game, that's not the point. I think she's fine, but she's worse than the others. Poe, my beloved Poe. Now, Poe is a very interesting character. He starts off with Garlic, and that means he's already S tier, okay? There's nothing to talk about. So Porter. Porter is the next one. Porter gains a 30% area boost and has a very unique effect, where if you don't level up, you just have 90% bonus cooldown reduction. This is the maximum in the game, by the way. You can't go beyond that. You can in numbers, but it doesn't do anything. And that just means it strikes as fast as possible the lightning ring. Very comfortable early game. Similar to Cleric. The problem is, it's not that effective, like, once you level up, and Porter has the same problem. The area bonus, however, is really decent. It's really not bad. I would say area bonus is somewhat limited, and I will not put it on B tier simply because Antonio is also there, but I would say it makes a solid C tier, and then I would put Pascalina just in D tier. That's how I would do it. Because area is not bad, okay? Especially when you want to overlay damage. It has an effect on many weapons. On some of them, it actually has a negative effect. It makes for huge projectiles, but it also doesn't help you to secure a win that you can idle, right? It just means, yeah, you deal a bit more damage because you might hit more enemies, but if you don't kill the enemies with that hit, that doesn't matter that you hit a bit more enemies. They are still there. And it takes, it's... Porter is fun, don't get me wrong. I just think, if you just look at who's the easiest one to do win a game with, I don't think it's Porter. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's an old guy staring at the buttocks. Poe. So I was talking about how this list is supposed to be, how much can I be AFK, get to the state where I just win the game, and that's it. Now, his bonus is pickup radius, which is, okay, it's nice. Especially if you get a tracked orb, that thing just sucks up everything from another dimension. Because it's multiplicative, it's absolutely crazy. He loses health, 30 health less, which is okay, still on 91 health with the power-up bonuses. And Garlic. Okay, Garlic is the best weapon in the game. No one can convince me otherwise. I'm just kidding. It's just my favorite weapon. Aside from Lightning Ring. But it's my favorite meme weapon. But yeah, point is, it's difficult to rate him, okay? Why? Because I said I want to be idle. That's how I rate this here and how much potential is there. Potential with Garlic is close to 0, okay? End game potential. Because at best, late game, what it does is push away the enemies further. And oh boy, it pushes them away, right? Where normally the weapons might just ditch the enemies a bit. It's like, fling, and they get shot away and disappear into another dimension again. And then we suck them back with the pickup radius. Good. No, but point is, it loses a ton of potential and trades it off for a save early to mid game if you do it right. So, in my opinion, Poe is really strong. I would definitely put him high up. Now, I would not put him S tier, okay? I'm sorry, I'll not put him S tier. I think he should easily deserve B tier, or, similar to Melda, something like this. And I think I feel fine with this, because it's just, you have a safe early game, nothing can happen to you. You can just level up, get the stuff that you want to get. Yes, it will fall off later, but if you can win with 2 weapons, then it doesn't matter that 1 weapon slot is taken up, right? So, who cares? That's what I would say. And that's my tier list. This is how I would rate them here, given on how easy it is to win a game, how reliable they are to win a game. This is not how powerful they could be at 30 minutes if you max out everything. That's not the point. The point of the game is to win, right? If we want to talk about power, pure power alone, then we would probably look at the weapon tier list, which is way harder to do. Now, if you would say Arca has a 15% decrease in attack speed, right? So why is he on S tier if I say it's not about power? Well, that's because the faster attacking, the attacking bonuses also mean it's more reliable to win because you wipe out the enemies before they even spawn or when they spawn. There's little that can happen to you in such a case. So in Poe's case, it's more defensive option that makes him good. In Arca's case, it's his insane offense that is his defense. Same for Motaccio, Gennaro, and stuff like this, right? And Melda, same. Because she levels up so much, she gets a lot stronger, a lot faster. Even if you get a bad option, you just level up again a second later, and you get something better. So I think, actually, I would say I actually feel really good about this list. Yeah, I would say I feel really good about this list. Let me know what you disagree with. This is totally fine, by the way. As I said in the beginning, everyone is viable. And depending on who you played a lot, you'll have a very, very different opinion than I have. Now, X-Dash is not added here. X-Dash is straight up F tier. I don't even know why anyone would argue with this. X-Dash is the worst hero in the game. Penalty stats, horrible stats, shit weapon to start with. I'm sorry to say it like this, but Ebony Wings level 1. How do you know how hard it is to hit enemies with Ebony Wings level 1 with his debuffs that make it insanely slow? It's near impossible. He would be... Actually, I would make a new tier for him. Like, I feel sorry because he gave me my gold world record. I love the guy himself. But on our tier list, FF tier. Actually, put him in a C tier, set tier, whatever you say. The lowest possible. But yeah, regardless. Point is, that's my tier list. Let me know what you think. and I'm out.